welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders, in green our Category 2, in blue Category 3 and Category 4 in red. There's at least 4 riders not in contact already, and we're not even a kilometre in. Massive kick by Eric Rimburg on the front. Golden Boy is looking to emulate a gold medal performance here today. He's gone off from the gun, often uses the sprint as a springboard for an attack and then going clear. And Ollie Jones has the capability to ride away from everybody, and that is why you're seeing the response of Jason Osborne, Michael Kaminsky, Michael Nuts and Daniel Chiric and co. They're the leaders on the road. They've caught Kevin Horsley, Albin Bogren, along with David Winfield and Joachim Sketting. They've caught those riders back. The Category 4 leaders in the Category 4 and Category 3 leaders are together at 32.9k.
SS has ridden clear of the Category 3 race field on the climb. There is the snowy UCI banner signifying the finish of the race. SS, your race winner today in Category 3 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. West is going to run out of road because that's the UCI banner, and this is Brian White. White is going to take the win here in Category 4. However hard Alex West has chased, White has stayed away. Your winner in Category 4, Brian White. The question is, who is going to go for the sprint here? Alex West launches in a phenomenal attack from the pack. First rider to respond, Tim Connell goes too. So does Warren and Winfield. Zanaska happy to sit at the back. It is Connell versus West. West versus Connell. I think it's going to be Alex West who takes that from Connell. It's going to be close. Had it been another metre or two, it could be different. No, I called it wrong. Tim Connell takes the win.
Warren can't respond. He's not going to do it. It's going to be Brian White. Brian White, your race winner here on Qualifier Race 4. It is going to be a win for Pablo Popovic of Brazil. He comes to the finish line. What a win. The momentum master, Master Zurich.
Mesdames, Messieurs, bonjour, ravi de vous retrouver sur MyWhoosh pour ce Sunday Race Club. Catégorie au départ, la catégorie 4 en rouge, les bleus de la catégorie 3, la catégorie 2 en vert et bien sûr la catégorie 1 en jaune avec les rouges qui vont ouvrir le bal SS. Il n'a pas trouvé d'équipe ou il n'a pas voulu rouler en équipe. Il n'y a pas l'obligation de rouler en équipe lors d'une finale, même si le classement entre en considération. Il roulera en individuel, rien que pour lui. Michal Kaminski a du 10 watts par kilo. Oh là là, il envoie déjà du steak. Ça envoie déjà du très très lourd. Tout le monde est à du 10 watts par kilo. Oh là là. Alors, l'arrivée, la voici, au sommet de l'Everest, quasiment. Voilà, SS qui vient s'imposer ici, au terme d'une épreuve vraiment très exigeante. Bravo à lui pour sa première course en catégorie 3. Eh bien, c'est la victoire pour SS. Bravo. Alex West qui s'arrache, il est à bloc évidemment. Donne tout ce qu'il a. 8 secondes. White il n'avance plus. Les 300 derniers mètres à présent. Il va gagner. Brian White, il va gagner. Mais c'était vraiment juste. Il était temps que ça se termine pour Brian White, qui va aller chercher ainsi sa première victoire. Bravo.
Alex West qui est en train de se diriger vers la ligne. Va-t-il tenir à moins que Connell revienne? Connell est en train de revenir. Connell qui va peut-être sauter sur la ligne. Attention, la victoire de Tim Connell. Incroyable. La victoire de Tim Connell sur la ligne. Lui qui est resté discret pendant toute la course et qui a attendu son heure. Bravo à lui.
Quelle démonstration de SS. Et White qui arrive à prendre cette fois-ci un avantage un peu plus conséquent. Est-ce que ça va être suffisant par rapport à Ola Warren? Je crois que White est parti pour s'imposer, mais quelle bataille entre ces deux-là jusqu'au bout. Et c'est l'Américain qui s'impose. Voilà qui est fait. Popovic qui a placé une attaque tranchante sur la fin et qui remporte cette finale du mois de septembre. Bravo.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مشاهدينا الكرام، متابعينا في كل مكان، أهلا وسهلا بكم مع الانطلاقات الأربعة والفئات الأربعة. الفئة باللون الأحمر، الفئة الرابعة والفئة الثالثة بالأزرق، والفئة الثانية باللون الأخضر، والأولى باللون الأصفر.
نعم، وهذه الفئة تمتاز بأن عدد من اللاعبين العرب متواجدين، أكثر عدد من اللاعبين العرب متواجدين في هذه الفئة. وأيضا في الأسبوع الماضي تواجد اللاعب محمد العلمي في المركز الخامس.
مستر إكس 100 هو متعاون حقيقة، هذا الشخص متعاون دائما، يحاول فقط عمليات الهجوم. عنده القميص المرقط الآن، تثبت على الصورة يوناس الآن السويدي يحاول أن يعود ليلتحق بالبطل الإماراتي مستر إكس 100، ولكن يصعب المهمة. ها هو الآن، شوف، ينطلق الآن في آخر 100 متر وسط هذا المكان الجميل. نعم، وهذه هي الآن، هنا نشاهد أمامكم، نعم، لوحة النهاية. يصل إلى خط النهاية أول الواصلين SS يوي كلان تيم بطلا لهذا التحدي.
ويدخل خط النهائي بالمركز الأول براين وايت بالمركز الأول للسباق التأهيلي الثاني من شهر سبتمبر، والقميص الأخضر، وأيضا يحصل على القميص الأصفر.
لا يوجد مجال للمنافسة. ستيفان فاليست هو بطلا لتلك المنافسة. نعم، انه بطل هذه الفئة الأولى هنا في تل مرعب. ستيفان فاليست وفوز محقق. براين وايت بعد هذا التقدم يأتي أولا وارن الآن. براين وايت سوف ينهيها بالأمام أمام أولا وارن السويدي. الأمريكي براين وايت هو بطل الفئة الرابعة.
بابلو بوبوفيتش بطل المرحلة النهائية للفئة الثالثة. اللاعب SS ويكون في الخلف التنافس على المركز الثاني والثالث الآن.
So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier race number 1. My name's Matt Payne. I'm here in the studios with the one and only
Emma Martin.
Emma, it's good to have you back in here. We've just seen an absolutely thrilling, nail-biting, in fact, I'll run out of superlatives for it, just one of the best women's races we've probably seen for a long time, with some real surprise results, in part due to the course. And the men's race promises to be good.
It does. I love this course as well. And this course today for the men here in Arabia, 45 kilometres of racing, and I'm going to say just 532 metres of climbing. Everything is short and sharp, and we have seen sprint finishes so close. So the riders come out of start, and it's not a pan-flat start. There are some very tricky technical sections where riders are going to have to be awake from the gun. They come through the first 2 sprints, then they go into the aquarium climb, then the Liwa Desert climb, then they transition through to Tel Marib, into the climb and the dunes, and then it's a 5.3 kilometre run to the finish line, but it is not flat.
It certainly isn't. All 4 groups of riders lined up, 5 minutes between categories 1 and 2, and categories 3 and 4. Between categories 2 and 3, 10 minutes. First riders away are going to be our category 4. They are wearing the red jerseys with the number 4, oddly enough, on their back. Our teams BMC Racing, Desert Falcons, Level Avengers, so Level Up Squad, and the Mighty Ducks are joined by Spinergy, the Anzacs, Upcycled, and ZTBR. We'll run through who's in which team when we're out on the road, which is where our riders head as we start off on qualifier race number 1, as we head out on to the course. As they make their way out on to the finish line, they will be covering 45 kilometres of racing. Now, let's run you very quickly through our teams. BMC Racing, they have Diego Navarro, as well as Martin Cristinoas. We've got Santiago Gonzalez for that BMC squad. The Desert Falcons, they're led by Boo and Mur once again. We have Level Avengers, that is going to be Garces Zimiel, along with Marcus Brito and Scott Francis. the level up squad. Jeff Rooney leading them, the legend that is Jeff Rooney. Don't forget, of course, Mighty Ducks are here with Johnson Kutap and Petter Truba. And they've got a Spinergy team, so Diusa Zoma Villa, as well as Vitatas Jokabonis. We've got the Anzac squad, Brett McMurtry, Jonathan Cridland, Kevin Horsley, and Mark Danson. Upcycled have Adriana Zanaska, Florian Drummond, Ian Lloyd, and Xavier Maillard, ZTBR, led by Osmar Vass. But this is a huge race field. It's a massive race field in totality, as Category 4 already starting racing with Abu Amr leading this out. He's right up on the front with the Desert Falcons. Emma, big field.
He is a huge field today, but not the biggest. Xavier Maillard is also up there with Bu Amr. These two riders leading out here and really pushing on here at the moment and trying to keep the pace high out of the pen. 47 riders, 9 teams in this Category 4 race. And I can tell you, it's only the 3rd largest race field today.
And the team's containing some very strong riders. And particularly with reference to this course, a bit like we did in the women's race. If you're new to the Sunday Race Club, we do try and give you a heads up on who's likely to be up there figuring, using Matt's idea of feel and pace and doing it totally without any empirical data. Emma, of course, using the empirical data, and I'm sure Emma's empirical data will tell you that Xavier Maillard, who's on your screen, is an absolutely class rider and a rider who we know is going to be right up there.
Well, let's have a little look at the riders here. Navarro from BMC Racing, 4th last week. Horsley took the win. Bogrand was 2nd. Rusinek 5th. Now, if I go back to Qualifier 3 in July when we were on this Tel Marib course, a number of the riders who were in the top 5 now up in Category 3, and the movement between the categories is fabulous to see. But we've got some great riders here. It's going to suit a rider with short, sharp climbing ability. Somebody who is good in Belgium, for example, a very similar type course. The longest climb today, 3.2 kilometres, but that is the least steep climb. Mark Dadson going off the front here, wanting to push on the pace. He could be one to watch today. Jonathan Cridland is going to be one to watch today. Bedoya is going to be one to watch today. There are some great riders and races in here. And I think we're going to have some phenomenal racing across all of the categories.
Well, Rusinek's a rider who has a big kick on him. Mokhtari as well, we know, is likely to be up there and fighting, particularly when we come on the climb. And I think your reference across to the Belgium race route is so correct, because we have got our first climb is our longest climb.
Yes.
That matches Belgium. It's about 3K, matches Belgium. It is a 2-stage climb, albeit it doesn't have a descent midway through. It has a little bit of a dip, but we also have climbs that are not actually categorized that take effect. And
yes.
I was having a listen to one of the Inside the Ride podcast with Matt Smith and Cy Bradley, not the one with Jeff Rooney, but I think it's the one after Jeff was on, and they were talking about the climb that goes in between climbs 3 and 4 not being categorized. And I think it was Cy who was basically saying it really, really hurts. He doesn't like it. And can it be categorized, please? Because it feels like it should be.
Well, I can tell you, it has been categorized before.
We'll come to that a little bit later, because we're already ready to go with Category 3. Time flies when you're having fun, and we always have fun here on the Sunday Race Club. Not sure our riders would class it as fun at the time, but I'm sure they do afterwards. Now, we have teams here. We have the Otero Alliance, Level Racing, Level Up Racing, and it's a composite of bike riders and singers in Take That team. So,
who's Robbie?
I don't know. Well, let's run through those riders in a second, and you can take your pick. We're ready to go. It's the second of our categorized start. 5 minutes after Category 4. Go on Category 3. We're in with Damian Kirsnowski at the moment, one of the many riders on this race field who are down as individuals. Now, let's run through the team riders first of all. The Aotearoa Alliance, the First Nation people of New Zealand. Those are Henry East and Peter Connell. We have got Level Racing's Ben Kirk, Luke Allport, and Nathan Peterson in there. Again, a very much a Australasian and New Zealand contingent down there, all Oceania-based riders. Ola Warren's captain in level up, racing from Sweden. We've got Torsten Holst actually riding from Germany as well. I see Torsten back in here. Lewis Ridley from Take That, along with Nicholas Spratt, also Take That rider, and Nicol Cansara. Whether or not this is a case that the boy band has got back together again, or this is Take That as in throwing a punch.
Well, I have to say, I don't know about Take That throwing a punch at somebody. Take That throwing a pedal down and showing them how much power they've got, because Lewis Ridley took 4th place last week in the final. Nicholas Spratt took 5th.
Well, we're in with Ryan Dummer. I was wondering whether he had an R in that name, because that would have been Ryan Drummond. That'd be most appropriate for a band name like Take That. But there we go. I'm not sure they actually ever played their instrument. So let's see if he's going to be right. Oh, they're good to see Ryan in action. The Pain Cave done with plenty of pictures in the background as well, and tapping out a nice rhythm here today. In terms of riders that I'm going to be looking forward to seeing here, Stan van Wellegem, a rider who goes well in the Belgium course. He's from Belgium, but this is a course that I think that will suit him. SS, we know, is on absolutely storming form. You can see him on your screens at the moment. The UAE rider who has been with the platform for a long, long time. Continuing his progression. This was something that Emma will have seen when she watched the show back, but not live last week because she was commentating on Zurich, but the in real life version in Zurich. SS, definitely he's progressing. He really is coming back in towards top form. Ryan Giuliano, another rider I think who would be in the mix here. Can't discount Pablo Popovic because momentum is really, really key on this course. Nicholas Hagland's on good form as well. Nick Scolari, who has been racing really aggressively. He almost has been equaling Luke Allport in his all-port ability.
Well, Scolari has won on this course before, back in June.
Yeah, and I think that it's his kind of course. I think also Hassan Al-Remethri maybe would like a slightly longer climb.
Yes, definitely.
But I think because the long climb is first, it could well suit him. And again, if he uses that sort of tactic of going early, it might be able to push the effort out really early on and make it hard.
Do you know what I'm going to say? Luke Allport, I know Luke has come up from Category 4 where he was dominant into Category 3, but this is the type of course that suits him. And I think, it's really time for him to show what he can do in Category 3. And today would be a day to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested also to see how Brian White does moving in from 4 to Category 3. Luke Allport on your screens. He's not rocking the Australian jersey today. It's no doubt probably the only day he's actually taken it off in the entire last month because I think
quite rightly too.
Quite rightly too, indeed, but you do have to wash your skin suit every now and then. Luke Allport sporting a new set of clothes for this and going on the push through at the moment. The sprint segments, of course, for those of you who are maybe new to the Sunday Race Club, the sprint segments don't count towards the overall positions, which is where we allocate out the prizes. They are for points, and those points are then translated into a skin suit. In the case of the sprints, it's green. Points allocated for the climbs. Those climbing jerseys, guess what? They're white with red dots on.
No, they are indeed. And interesting to see the riders pushing on. And Damian Kianowski, he's going to be good on this course, along with Allport and Dummer. Moreno, Johan Moreno is going to go well as well. Do you know, this Category 3 race, I always say it is one of the most packed fields. The allocation of riders to Category 3, the ability of these riders is so close and so tight.
And it's a massive pack as well, so lots of draft dynamics in there as well.
59 riders.
It's huge. I mean, was it just shy of 200 riders across all the race fields?
Yeah, 198 today in the men's race field.
That is a massive race field. 198 riders on those entry lists. The Category 4 riders, the first of those 198 to go away. The first rider on the road is Bou Amr, who is leading us out ahead of Garces Zimiel. And then it is Jairo Calderon behind, but Calderon in that pack with Vergara, Atruba, Milano, Navarro, Bradley in there. They're all on the way in on this bumpy section that takes you in, and there are some steep drops and ascents even before we get
There are.
to the first official climb. So making sure that you're wise with your expenditure of energy, really, really important. Now, just taking a look at Gus's Zimiel, it looks to me like having a little bit of power issues there, so may well be it's getting lightened up.
But
there.
did you also notice that he's got a cast on his wrist?
Yes, and on the tri-bars as well, or the aero bars.
And that would be
rest.
because of that cast. Now,
does that sound familiar, Emma?
It does indeed. I have to say, I did once break my hand in 3 places in a cyclocross race at a national series race in the UK, and obviously was out of action for some time outdoors riding and racing, but indoors, sorting out the tri-bars, sorting out the position on the front, and then you can get back to training.
Taking off the weight off the wrist, off the hand, putting it through the elbow. And performance-wise, there is a physiological advantage to being on those tri-bars because you're not using your energy to support your weight as much if you get that position right. So that energy that you put into your upper body is able to go into your lower body, but you can't then use your body mass to push the pedals around.
You can't. And also getting out of the saddle is not really an issue or an option. And of course, don't forget, your body is repairing potentially multiple breaks.
You can tell that Emma is still bitter about this some years later.
Yes.
It was not the best. I think the Full Speed Events van was down actually at that race.
I think you were commentating.
I was commentating actually at that
and
race.
I was racing.
And I think you were racing at that same race. And yes, I think
I can tell you it was when in the UK the women's race was with the junior men.
Okay, it's that long ago. Blimey.
That long ago.
Blimey. Now they have their own race, a bit like we have here on MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club. But remember, of course, the women's race first on the Sunday Race Club, followed by the men's race. Separate categories, same prizes, same prize list, same coverage, same team.
Well, it is indeed, and Kiernowski is still doing the business on the front of the race. Mayer here, SS, Popovic, Bedoya, all in the mix right up the front. And you can see on that left-hand bottom corner, the shot there of this pack, all still together. It is stretched. They're just pushing on this short rise at the moment. It's around 2.5% the climb as they come up over the bridge. You can see the little stretch on the group being done, but I don't think we're going to see anybody distance off the back. But I've said that before and probably been made to eat my words.
No comment.
Well, the pack still pushing at the moment. Bedoya, Cadiz, Allport, Oviedo. Nice to see the Finnish riders in here. Great new additions to the Sunday Race Club.
Yeah, and I think it's the Scandinavian region within Europe is a big heartland of riders on MyWhoosh, and I think as we come into the winter in the Northern Hemisphere, and they are a Northern
Europe hemisphere.
Yeah, definitely. They are quite a long way up. In fact, I think, if I'm correct, Finland actually does go into the Arctic Circle, if I remember correctly. It's if you've got 16 foot of snow, something that not everybody is lucky enough or unlucky enough to get, depending on your point of view, you're not going to be riding outdoors. You're going to be indoors, particularly if you want a controlled environment.
Well, and let's just remember, anybody who watched that men's semi-final on the World Championships pathway, it was absolutely dominated early on by the team from Denmark.
It was another Scandinavian nation, for those of you whose geography maybe is not quite as addicted to looking at maps as I am. So let's get to the racing. We're in with category 4 at the moment. At the front, no, it's definitely not the Finnish squad or the Danish squad. And making our way in these early undulations, we have category 4, the furthest down the road. They're at 9.4k, 6.3k covered for category 3. It's time to get our category 2 riders underway. They'll be followed in 5 minutes time by category 1. Category 2 teams, well, we have the Level NSA Racing. We've got the MyWhoosh Werewolves restart powered by Alex Coe. What's Up team and the UAE Clan team in the mix. Going to be very interesting to see who is up at the front of the racing. We'll run through those riders and the rest of the squads in a second. But it's time to hit the start line. Let's see, in category 2, another of our hotly contested categories. Who is going to take this on? Is anybody going to go from the gun? A brave move. But if you were watching last month, you will know category 2 are not afraid to have a go, and it's time to go. We are away and racing here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club Qualifier race number 1. Our riders out from the pen.
Well, they are indeed. And the 49 riders in Category 2 on the start sheets today for the qualifier race number 1 in October. This is the Sunday Race Club. This is Category 2, and they are up and out of the start pen and up to speed very, very quickly. Almeida, Brune, Rinborg is in here, Carradine, really strong riders. Niall Batty has made himself up to Category 2. Now, that is really good to see. Potentially not his course today, much more suited to the really long climbs. We saw him absolutely dominate Category 3 on the endurance climb when we were there before. Van Erck, Van He, Harvey, all in the mix here today. Really great to see. Gombert is here too, and James Harvey. Kel Power. This could, well, he's sat in the... Look at that. He's just spinning his legs over, sat waiting to go.
He is indeed. Category 1. Just going to be about 5 minutes, in fact, 4 minutes to go now for them. Let's take a little look at inside the teams of Category 2. We've got the Level NSA Racing Squad. Andrew Rushmer from the United Kingdom. Eric Rimbaud, Golden Boy himself, from Sweden. We've got Jose Rodriguez of Colombia. Real mixed nations in the Level NSA Racing. The MyWhoosh Werewolves, one of the best names going. I think I always love a werewolf reference. Not a werewolf fan, but I do love it as a reference. It's got Christoph Thiem and Simon Walter, both from Germany. Now, in the restart powered by Alex Cutting, they're going to be led by Andrew Downey of Australia. The What's Up squad, Walter Clays of Belgium. And then we have the UAE riders on the UAE Falcons, Ahmed Al-Tanashi and Zayed Hamdan. And we have got, of course, Mr. X100 from the UAE clan team in here. And if you were watching last month, you will know he is coming back to his best. It's going to be very interesting to see if he is able to take this out as we go. Just in with Simon Walter at the moment. You can see his top performances here. Can he break into the top 10? I think he can. I think he's just coming back into form.
Well, and people's forms do change and they do shift. Now, interesting to see that we've got Walter in this group, but this group is huge. It's a big, big group. 1 or 2 riders just distanced off the back here. Well, Simon Walter in real life now on your screen, and you can see him on his bike in the pain cave. He's on the right-hand side of the screen in the middle of that group, and that group really motoring now.
So really putting on the power here. Good to see Simon Walter and the German national jersey in the background. Meanwhile, Category 2, Olivier Simmons has wondered how long it would be before they were going to have a go. We said they're not afraid to have a go, and that is certainly the case. Olivier Simmons already ripping it up 6 watts per kilo at the moment. This is a big move in Category 2. Andrew Downey, now he's a man who really is looking strong. One of the people who's right up in the mix for me, Matthias Van He. This would be a course that suits him down to the ground.
I agree. Absolutely right, Matt. But Alcase is here, Graves is here, Carradine is here. Marvin Angarita has come up from Category 3 to Category 2. Now, that's a great racer. Interesting to know whether he's on the start line today, but we will surely find out.
Indeed. In fact, I think I've just seen him coming in through. So Marvin Angarita, I think we'll aim to go back to him a little bit later because there's a lot we can talk about Marvin Angarita, and that's going to be coming up very shortly indeed. We are currently up and riding our Category 2 riders. Olivier Simmons on the attack with Andrew Downey. The chase is coming from Mr. X100, but we are now going to get ready to head in with our final race, Category 1 in those yellow jerseys. Who will turn that into a yellow skin suit at the end and be awarded the top spot? Well, our teams will have a lot to say about that. Team tactics always playing a part in Category 1. The Alpha Jaw squad, Chirek, Tolbert, Vajesin, Kaminsky and Jones. The Goat squad, Kayan, Bjarhead. That's both Burke and Kayan, as well as Jonas Bjarhead. The Hard to Guard squad, Jason Osborne, Michael Knudsen, Saeed Safrasedi, Stefan Van Elst, and the Wenger boys. The party squad of Anna Jacobs, Kel Power, Ricardo Panizza, Seb de Wert, and Vidar Mehr. However, that is less than half of the start sheet.
Well, 43 riders on the start sheets in Category 1 today, and one rider who's on 2 start sheets today, and it's going to be interesting to see which race he picks, is Johan Noren, because he's on this start sheet today, but he's also on the start sheet of the Gravel World Championships, which starts in 30 seconds.
There we go. So the rider's away here. Let's see where he ends up. Will he be on the dust, the dirt, getting all grimy, getting his bike covered in mud, maybe potentially damaging it on the way round? Or will he be on MyWhoosh here on the Sunday Race Club in Category 1, enjoying the luxuries of his own personal pain cave and just a little bit of wear and tear from the amount of power he can put down?
Right, can I just say how phenomenal it is, the size of this race field
Yeah,
today? 43
huge.
riders on the start sheets today, and you can see this category is just growing and growing because of the progression we're seeing, also because of the riders we're seeing come into it, because the number of riders in here who are going to be on that World Championship final at the end of the month in Abu Dhabi, for Yasin Kaminski, Jones, Osborne, Knudsen, Van Elst, Power, Dvert, Andreasen, Pucker, Noren, Brantland and Nair are all going to be there in Abu Dhabi. They're all on the start sheets. Now, Paradeans is also on the start sheets. And can I just say, congratulations to the GOATS squad, Bert Kayan, Jonas Bjarhead and Khan Kayan. The whole squad is up from Category 2.
And this is where you're in with the highest of our categories. The category 4 or our standard category, and as we move up through those categories, you will find that our riders they're moving faster and faster. That progression that we see from our riders as they improve on the platform, in part due to the racing, in part due to the great training programs that are available as well. Don't forget, you can go and race and ride and train on MyWhoosh. You can join our riders here. Download the app. It's on iOS, on Windows, on Android. You just need the minimum spec kit, dependent on which platform you're working on, which of those downloads you're going to take off and then use. And we would love to see you, not just on the Sunday Race Club, but out and riding when we're out and riding on MyWhoosh. Maybe go on a training session. The training sessions, they have increased. There's a huge squad of people, and there's some exciting names on there. Lots of very different backgrounds, different riders. So find somebody you want to go out and ride and race with. And of course, you could then be on the start line racing up against Saeed Safazadi, one of the regular performers on road, off road, indoors. Is there nothing this man can't do?
Great to see him back on the Sunday Race Club. He's had a break from the Sunday Race Club while he's been out on the road. So absolutely phenomenal to see him back.
Yeah, stage racer, stage winner, mountain bike rider, a championship rider, and back in and racing once again. Good to have him back, regularly supported by family as
He is.
well.
You often see someone sat on the sofa behind him.
And it's brilliant to see. Absolutely love that. I love the fact that people can get that support from their family, from their friends. And of course, please do tell your family and friends, tell them to have a watch. If you are a friend of these riders, maybe tell them that putting 10 watts per kilo
the
down.
pace on this Category 1 race at the moment.
We're 3 minutes into the race and we're seeing 10 plus watts per kilo going down from our Category 1 riders as the pressure is on.
Well, and do you know what? I just think they've just gone 43 riders on the start sheets. You've got to be kidding me. Let's get going.
And I think bringing it down, Mikhail Kaminski. Now, I think there's some very specific things going on here. You've got Kaminski, Knudsen, Andreas and Van Elst. These are all riders who are fighting out at the top of the standings in the Sunday Race Club. They're riders who are going to, we expect to see fight it out in that World Championship right at the sharp end of the racing. And I think based on last week's race only, and only based on last week's race, where we saw some of our big favourites racing hard, early and quick, they are looking to get a fast, short race in, not get a long race in.
Well, this course for me, absolutely perfect in terms of preparation. Short, sharp efforts, lots of them, and it's going to be around an hour's racing today. Now, Hayden Pucker coming through the Aldar HQ sprint in first place, 13 seconds. Setting the fastest time, but it is literally just the entirety of the Category 1 pack. The pack is splitting already, but with 43 riders, I'm not surprised. And that pace. So Pucker, Paradeans, Osborne, Jones, Otruba, Dont, Plantero, Coinston and Bengtsson and Bjorkland, the top 10 in that group at the moment. But as I said, the entirety of that Category 1 pack absolutely motoring.
And Michael Knudsen, a rider on the move at the moment with Jasim Elostic up there. this is so harsh. We've got 3 groups, 2 big splits already. Riders distanced off the back here. And we saw last week really early on, because we had the climb very, very quickly. We came round the turn into the Lindenhof climb. We'd literally gone through the streets of Zurich onto the climb, and it blew apart on climb 1. We weren't even 5K in, and we have riders just desperately
sounds like the real world champs.
The replication of the racing was in there. At this stage, whilst we're talking about the world champs, we're going to talk about champions. People like Lionel Verstappen. This is a man who could well be our champion in October. You cannot discount him. He's an absolute superstar of esports. I was wondering whether Lionel Verstappen is going to be the Tadej Pogacar of esports. Tadej, the man who can do everything, race any distance, long or short, go on the attack, be offensive, and yet be super smart with his attacking. I mean, the attacking the Road World Championships was astounding, and he's just backed it up with a win as a win in the Giro d'Emilia. Well, so his first race back, he won in the rainbow jersey. A rider who rides on MyWhoosh.
But can I just say, 100-kilometre breakaway is not going to win you the Cycling Esports World Championships.
About 5 times over, isn't it? It's about 20k.
A short, sharp kick and some massive power is, though. And Andrew Downey is putting the power down at the front of Category 2 at the moment. Downey moving clear of the chase group. He's got 16 seconds at the moment on Olivier Simmons and 38 seconds on Betty and Alcase, Holweiler and Batty Montoya. They are in the group behind. So Andrew Downey, Category 2, going long today. I think he's channeling his inner Pogacar.
Well, and why not? I mean, it was such an astounding performance, and I think it redefined what we think of as possible. And I watched it. I watched basically as much as I could afterwards. I started late and I watched late into the men's road race at the World Championships and watched that performance. And the UAE team there, although they were all ready for nations, there certainly seemed to be a lot of looking after each other. But I thought that redefinition of what is possible in road mirrored this redefinition of what is possible in esports that we're seeing on MyWhoosh.
Yeah, but what I also think is really interesting as a takeaway from Zurich is over that Saturday and Sunday, those 2 races, the men's elite race on the Sunday, it was dry, it was really long, and it was a big, long breakaway. The women on the Saturday, the women's elite race on the Saturday, it was torrential, it was freezing cold, and it came down to a sprint.
And there's no telling, is there? I mean, you would almost say that you're going to more likely to see breakaways and see small groups when you have terrible conditions. But it just changed the dynamic of it. The performance is astounding. And I think that mirrors what we see in all our race categories. This is not just about Category 1, it's about Category 2, 3 and 4. The standard of riding on the Sunday Race Club is absolutely sounding. And we see Saad Carradine on the screen now. We regularly see him in his pain cave as well. And he's a rider that we've seen battling it out. Mohamed Al-Case, another case in points. Another rider who we know is going to be up there and fighting.
Well, I'm one of the Category 2 riders that was indeed in Zurich. Well, let's just talk about defending world champions first, shall we?
Yeah.
Bjorn Andreasen, defending world champion from Denmark on the cycling esports. Well and truly making his presence felt in this Category 1 race already.
He is indeed off the front and attacking hard here. So the defending world champion who'll be going into Abu Dhabi with the stripes to lose. You don't get to wear them if you can't defend them. That's how it works. You get the stripes forever on your sleeves of your jersey, that iconic rainbow jersey. Will we see him in action? Meanwhile, on and truly up and on to the climbing and heading over the top. It is SS leading Category 3. Just getting a rest here. You can just see dropping down those watts per kilo, just taking a little bit of a breather as he rolls down in this descent, coming off the summit of our first climb, the Aquarium climb. So we have got Category 4 leaders and Category 3 leaders over the summit of the Aquarium climb. They dip down into one of my least favourite climbs that I have ridden on MyWhoosh ever.com, which is the Liwa desert climb. Now, this is quite a short climb. It's 19.6k. At the start, it finishes at 21 I think it's 6 from memory. And for me, one of the key things about this climb is it's got a big step in the middle that absolutely ruins the rhythm. And you can see category 4 on it. It does. It's steep. It's nasty. It flattens off and then it kicks again. And this for me is it's decisive in the racing. It's hard when you ride it. It's definitely a profile I don't like, but the riders, when you're racing it on the Sunday Race Club, are using it to great effect to break the group up, because you've got the Aquarian climb and then that break on the way down.
Yeah, Mark Dodson absolutely driving yet again on the front of this Category 4 race. Brett McMurtry in there, Kevin Horsley, all in the mix here. They really are pushing, and Dodson really pushing strongly. The rest of the riders here in the group making sure they don't lose contact, because it's currently around 6.87% at the moment on this climb. It's just 2 kilometres in total, the Leeward Desert climb, and then there's a long transition before we hit Tel Marib. 14 kilometres of transition. They really, really do not want to lose the front of this Category 4 pack. Jonathan Cridland, you can see him on the screen at the moment, working hard, concentrating, making sure he's on the back of that group. He's currently sitting in 10th place in this group at the moment in this Category 4 pack. Now, the Category 4 pack, the leaders on the road at the moment, they left the start pen first, 5 minutes ahead of Category 3. 15 minutes ahead of Category 2 and 20 minutes ahead of Category 1. It's a big group still here in this Category 4 race, whereas in Category 2, it's riders all over the road. And I say all over the road because we're in with Olivier Simmons at the moment. He's the rider on our screen and on the race field at the moment. He's not the rider in the lead in Category 2. He's currently second to Andrew Downey, who is 36 seconds clear up the road. Simmons in the middle between Downey and the chase group. He's 25 seconds clear of the chase group, but 36 seconds behind Downey. Phenomenal racing from Downey and Simmons to go clear, and it's a really interesting technical course. So the possibility to stay clear as well. And Bjorn Andreasen in Category 1 is doing the same thing. 12 seconds now he has on the chase. Who lets the defending world champion go down the road for 12 seconds?
Pretty much anybody that's human. I think the thing is, so long as nobody takes the bait and goes with him, and he's a solo rider, keep this pack together. And that's what's happening. We're not seeing 10 watts per kilo in this climb. We're seeing 7s and 8s. These riders need to keep this group together, keep that strength of groups, keep the strength of talent there, and then keep the pack, because they could pull him back then relatively quickly without expending too much individual energy. If you let Bjorn Andreasen go off the front and he's working all on his own, you leave him to it, great, because he's having to do the work.
Well,
no
it's
one
interesting,
else.
isn't it? Because you're talking about the fact that we're not seeing extreme accelerations in terms of top end sprint power, but we are seeing big numbers and regular repeats of big numbers, and that is what these riders train to do at this level. They are training specifically 1 and 2 minute powers, and the repeatability of those powers and being able to deliver them multiple times within an hour. And that's the specialism that we're seeing really come to the fore in esports.
It is, and I think that really does show with these changes in performance. Now, just taking a little look at the Design District Sprint, all these areas, of course, giving names to our sprint. The Design District Sprint, taking by Walter Clays of the What's Up team, the second category rider, ahead of Ben Kirk from Category 3, ahead of Linda Milostic of Category 1. Then you've got Marvin Angarita Reyes sitting in 4th position. The top 10 at the moment rounded out by Mr. X100, the UAE clan team, all within 1 second, 0.909. I'm not sure where Angarita Reyes actually has got. How has he got any legs left after his racing?
Well, phenomenal racing throughout the 9 days in Zurich from Angarita Reyes. So let me just let our viewers know, if they don't, Marvin Angarita Reyes is the pilot for Nelson Serna Moreno. It's a Colombian tandem in the men's B category, meaning that Marvin is the sighted pilot for the blind stoker on that tandem. They raced both in the individual time trial and the road race in Zurich at the World Championships, taking 7th in the individual time trial and 8th in the road race. Now, I'm going to just put this into contention because the men raced Zurich last week, didn't they? What it was called the city circuit of the Zurich course. Well, the men's B tandem road race did 2 laps of that circuit and then 8 laps of the smaller lakeside circuit in that men's B tandem road race. Phenomenal racing. And that race came down to a 3-up sprint. If you've seen tandem sprint and you want to go and check out Marvin Angarita Reyes and Nelson Serna Moreno from Colombia, that race is available in its entirety for you to watch out there in the world of paracycling coverage from the World Championships. But he's here and he's on the Sunday Race Club, a week later and putting in strong performances.
And he's racing in this. These are Category 2 riders on your screens at the moment on the climb. And you can just see, we just saw Mr. X100 in here. The rider was 10th in that sprint, right up in the mix. It's a big bunch, but you can see further down the hillside, riders getting scattered into the distance. The class of riders, world-class riders, racing the Road World Championships 1 week back here on their regular race platform on the Sunday Race Club the week after. Absolutely impressive skills, and it shows you just how tough it is. No disrespect to Category 2, but it's Category 2 has world-class riders in it. Category 1, I think now, is really becoming the home of the esports specialist, because you almost have to be a specialist to get above Category 2. You can't just be a great rider, which is our Category 2 riders. You've got to be a great rider and a specialist as well. Now, as we come up this climb, Emma, this X100, he's just off the front of the bunch, but he's not catching Downey at the moment. Still 30 seconds.
Well, it's interesting to see on the aquarium climb, the first push from Mr. X100 coming here. Now, this is not a particularly steep climb. It does have sections around 5%, but it's got an average gradient of 2.5. And we regularly see this climb uncategorized in other races. So coming through on the aquarium climb, X100 just pushing on. And that's because Downey is 35 seconds clear up the road.
And he's just continuing to push. He's keeping a really strong pace. He's tapping out that rhythm. He doesn't have to respond to anybody else. He's got half of the length of this next straight. They may well just about be able to make out a tiny little dot in the distance underneath the aquarium. It's so difficult to tell. He's gone down the road. Out of sight is out of mind. And I think, though, that's much more difficult here on esports because you get the stats. You've got the figures to the right-hand side of your screen. They know what that time gap is. Downey coming up to the top of the aquarium climb in Category 2. The chasing group chasing hard. We have shed riders in a big way behind, but the main pack is still holding strong. They are 2-3 wide on the road at the moment, showing it is not yet on the limit, but it's getting there.
Well, and this is always really interesting because for me, the aquarium climb on this course and the smaller climbs coming into the aquarium climb, really, this is about testing out everybody's legs because we haven't got the short, sharp, steep climbs yet. This is about attrition. How many riders can we lose off the bat? What type of pace can we put on the front? The bigger, shorter, sharper, more power-needed climbs are coming. But what damage can we do to a group of 49 starters before we get to those shorter, sharper climbs?
So over the top of the climb and through that climb banner, the polka dot banner indicates the top of each climb segment goes Mr. X100 leading the group through, and behind him, interesting, Van He and Simeons, the real protagonists in this race, the riders who like an aggressive race right in there.
Well, Simmons has come back to the group from being 20 seconds clear and in between Downey and the chase group. So not pushing on and maintaining that gap, but coming back into the main group. And at the moment, that's quite a good tactic.
Yeah, 100%. I would not want to be in no man's land or even off the front, to be honest. Solo, I think, is... I'm not sure if it's brave and bold or just downright crazy.
Well, I love a brave rider, and at the moment we are seeing that in Downey, because Downey is 35 seconds clear of this group we are watching in Category 2. And whilst you're saying that, you can see the distance and you can see the time gap. Depending upon where you are in that chase group, you only see the number of riders in the pack that you can currently see, or the viewer can currently see on the screen.
Yep, what you're seeing on your screens right now is exactly what our riders can see in terms of numbers. They'd have to scroll up and down, which you can do to try and see the riders in front or behind. But trying to do that whilst you're racing, probably it's a good job you can't see Emma's face. Emma, a regular rider and a racer on esports. These days, I do my riding on esports. I don't do much racing these days, mostly because it's all or nothing. And
well,
I'll
tell you something. This is all or nothing at the moment, because this is absolutely split up all over the road. So Paradians, Van Elst, Kroll, Kaminsky, all in this pack. Puckett is here as well, and it's a big group of Category 1 riders. We've got riders off the back of the group, and my question is, do we still have Bjorn Andreasen off the front?
Well, I'm desperately trying to see on the left-hand side of the screen. I think he's around this left-hand turn somewhere, but where is he? Or has he been pulled back whilst we've been watching the rest of our race categories? Remember, Andreasen was the rider off the front, the defending world champion. He'll be defending those stripes in our finals in Abu Dhabi at the end of October. He is the man who was on the offensive. He'd gone clear solo. He had got a substantial gap behind Michael Kaminsky and co chasing. Kaminsky, not only a wearer of a plain jersey, he's clearly, I wonder if his jersey is an indication of his feeling of what he's up to.
I don't know, but I do love a colourful jersey. Well, Kaminsky is up and out the saddle and pushing on the pedals at the moment. He's there. Kroll behind him. Riders from Poland. Look at that. 2 Category 2 riders from Poland. 2 Category 1 riders from Poland. All 4 of those flags on the screen at the moment. And it is great to have such representation from around the globe on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. But Mikhail Kaminsky is the rider drilling the front of this at the moment. They're pushing to the top of the aquarium climb. This is the first it's the first categorized climb. Bjorn Andreasen is back in the pack. Take a look at that. They've caught him and pulled him back in. But the pace on this pack, they are really climbing strongly. And you indicated, Matt, that last week what you saw was a really hard race from the gun and them utilising really hard powers and almost using it as a training session for efforts. Yet again, we're seeing 7-8 watts per kilo on this climb.
And it's a sustained push over the top. And this is one of the key things when you race this route, rather than necessarily ride this route. When you come to the top of the aquarium climb, you really have to ramp the power towards the end because of the shape of the profile. You can see here, Stefan Van Elst, Christoph Kroll, Osborne, Andreas and Kaminsky, Buckerson, Frassini, Jones, Power, Panizza. They're all up there and they've pushed over the top of the climb, generating that power over the top. If there are any gaps at the top of this climb, they very quickly open up and you've got to put the power down. You cannot let that roll over the top. You can't ease off. And we see that acceleration near the top of this climb. Now, all these riders know that, and I think that's why we're seeing that kick up and over the top from this group. Now, Hayden Puckett in here. Hayden Puckett, really interesting character. Learned a lot about him on the Virtual Velo podcast. In fact, a great interview with him from Emma. Emma, he came across as a really nice guy.
He did. But I'm just giggling because you stood in for me that day because I couldn't get to the studio in time.
Indeed, he was one of those. He's one of these people. I was very lucky enough to do the chatting that day. Just super nice, really, really friendly, and yet incredibly focused. This is a man
I know
who has nailed his colours to master. Said, "I want that world championship."
And for
jersey.
such a young rider, I mean, I was really impressed with his focus, his commitment, his self-belief. And how he pulls all those things together for such a young rider. Really, really impressive.
And saying, Sunday Race Club is where it's at. This is where he wants to. This is where he does his racing. This is his focus. The World Championships. That's what he wants to do. And brilliant rider, and great to see him in here. Another rider who I think really has improved. Arnie Jacobs, the rider from the Netherlands here, touched in this group. a rider who not all that long ago, I think, would have been maybe struggling a little bit with the pace to stay with the very front riders. At the moment, he's absolutely flying, really improved.
This group at the moment is 20 riders still in this leading group at the moment when we went up and over the aquarium climb. There's a stretch on the group at the moment, and that's because the pace is still really high. Jason Osborne, 10 watts per kilo, chasing Ollie Jones and Hayden Pucker.
We can't let Pucker and Jones go. I mean, that's your worst nightmare. You've got, Jones, who's a known breakaway merchant. You've got Pucker, who's the new kid on the block, absolutely at the front. You've now got Jason Osborne
marking them.
Jason Osborne, a man who's never been off the podium at the World Championships for cycling e-sport. I mean, it's a who's who of cycling. Jason Osborne, interestingly, yesterday was down at the side of the Gravel World Championship supporting one of the riders in the women's race.
Yes.
He was down there burning the support team in. Our riders living, breathing, riding, supporting cyclists and cycling. Really interesting to see their commitment to do that. Now, our riders here at the front of the race have got to make it count because, remember, all of our riders racing for top 5 positions. Che Holweiler wanting to be in the mix in category 2. You can see Che at the moment just keeping those pedals turning round. He is at the moment on that flat
bit. It's a transition.
It is that section, that step. This is indelibly ingrained in my legs and head as being the really horrible bit because you go over the top of the first steep section, it eases, and then it kicks again, and it's like that last coup de grace that finishes you off as you go up over the top. Is this next section? I'm not sure it's finished off Downey.
Well, it hasn't yet. So Andrew Downey put in the attack on the category 2 pack. We went up to 37 seconds clear. He is coming back to the group, but the group are battling to bring him back now on this climb, the Leeward Desert climb. It's down to about 17 seconds. So the group really, really pushing, but it's a huge group of racers in this category 2 race field, and it's everybody who's here. Che Holweiler is doing a lot of driving on the front. So is Van Hees, so is Walter, so is Carradine, and you can see him up out of the saddle on the screen at the moment, part and parcel of this chasing pack, pulling back Downey. Ivan Newkey, Betty is in the mix as well. So is Brune, so is Graves, so is Walter and Simmons. This is an absolute who's who of category 2.
Who's who of category 2?
They're calling alliteration again, not quite the same, but
If you want to know what alliteration means, I'm absolutely in awe of everybody who watches and listens to this with English not being their first language. Absolutely amazing skills. I am just in awe of them. If you want to know what alliteration means, if you are not educated like Professor Martin, please watch the women's show.
You don't need to be educated like me.
No, you definitely don't. I'm
certainly not educated. I always think the more you learn, the more you realise you don't know.
Quite possibly so, but seeing as I didn't learn much at school, I don't know much that I'm not missing out on either. So if you want to know what alliteration is, do watch the women's show and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We really, really appreciate it. Every single person who has subscribed so far to the YouTube channel, every single person that likes the shows, please do give MyWhoosh a follow on social media, on Instagram and on Facebook. Also give at biking_Emma and at Matt Fixer Payne follow our riders. Our category 2 riders put on an amazing show here. Ivan Newkey, part of the Abu Dhabi Cycling Club, in this chasing group.
Well, I can tell you the chasing group climbing the Leeward Desert climb faster significantly than Andrew Downey. Downey going through, but the pack of around 20 riders in this category 2 race seriously motoring.
It's a real big pace. Great to see Ivan Newkey. He's tapping away a nice rhythm there on the bike. Nice bike position, just gets out of the saddle, keeps the revs high. That's almost a real, I'm going to show my age here, Pantani-esque style. Keeping the revs, getting out of the saddle, dancing. Charlie Gall, if you are really old, older than me, I've just seen it on old footage. I didn't see it in real life. I'm not that old. But that sort of style where you get out of the saddle and the revs just keep on coming.
Ivan Newkey, one of the coaches at the Abu Dhabi Cycling Club, doing the business on the bike in category 2. And Syed Carradine continuing to push, this group. Downey is still out front. He's 16 seconds clear at the moment, and the pace comes off the group once you're on this transition section. So at 23.3 kilometres into this 45-kilometre race, this is now the transition between the Liwa Desert climb and the Tel Marib climb. It's 14 kilometres, and other than one or two bumps along the road, it is pretty much flat. Now, Downey is still out front, but the chase group really want to utilise the opportunity to catch here. They've got 14 kilometres to do it. There's around 20 riders in this group, and they really need to get their act together and keep the pace high, because if Downey goes into the Tel Marib climb section, it's climb after climb after climb to the finish line. And if he is away going into that section, it's highly likely he will stay away to the finish of the race.
Ooh, interesting. Interesting prediction. Right, here we go. Up onto the top of the Liwa Desert climb. This is the kicker, the run over the top. It's not all that straightforward here. This group at the moment pushing on. We've got riders fractured behind them, being distanced through the banner. They go. And interesting to see who is behind here, who's not made the cut, who's not made this selection
They're
point.
pushing to make sure they make the selection, because they do not want this group to go away. But it's a big transition section, exactly the same as what we've just said about the Category 2 race field, here relevant for the Category 1 race field. But take a look at this. Vu Yassin, 3 minutes, 19 seconds, setting the fastest time on the Liwa Desert climb today. Osborne, Van Elst, Knudsen, Safrazadi, Kaminsky, Power, Andreasen, Puckett and Paradians, all in the mix and in the top 10. In fact, the top 14 riders now, that is the leading group in Category 1. Jacobs, Millerstick and Vert just a little bit further back. The Category 2 leading pack splitting those Category 1 riders. So Simmons, Nuki, Thiemann, Spina, Keradine and Vanhee, all at the front of that Category 2 pack, driving hard as well.
Really great racing here on MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club. Always great racing on the Sunday Race Club. Always great to see the action on the race routes. And this race route lives up to expectation time and time again. Produces great racing across all 4 race categories. Now, dropping across to Category 4 and 3. Category 3 leaders on the road here. SS Mayer, Dummer, as well as Popovic and Edwards at the moment at the front of this pack, who are steadily catching riders in Category 4. The Category 4 riders, so still 23 riders up the road in front of our Category 3 leaders. So at the moment, Category 4 leading on the road, Category 3 chasing. The leaders in Category 4 are Bu Amur with Mark Dadson for company, 16 seconds back to Rooney. Then Albalushi in that chasing group with what is going to be Barchansky, along with Bradley and Calderon. Let's see if all this coaching that Bradley is doing on the platform is making him faster. We'll have to see. Meanwhile, let's take a look on the Category 3. Category 3 riders are chasing well here. Carsten Mayer, along with Robert Edwards, putting a good bit of power down. Chasing them, Category 2 at 26k, and chasing them, Category 1. All of our riders racing for prizes in the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Prices on the men's and women's races are equal across both men's and women's races, and it's the top 5 riders in each race category that get prizes individually. Let's take a look at those prizes that are up for grabs today. So right hand side of your screen, the qualifier races, the individual classification is in play. That is 1st to 5th for the individual riders, 2,160 AED, the currency of the UAE, right the way down to 432 AED for 5th. Team classification only comes in when we get to our monthly finals, which adds that extra dimension and that extra bit of pressure when we come into the finals. We move from our standard Category 4 up to Category 3. The prizes lift up. First place now in the individual classification, 3,600 AED, 720 AED for 5th. The prizes spread in between. And of course, that team classification prize raises when we go to our monthly finals. 4 to 3 lifted. Category 3 to 2 lifts as well. Category 2, 6,000 AED for the individual win today, right down to 1,200 AED for 5th. when we go to our team classification at the end of the month, 30,000 AED for those riders, 3 to 5 riders to count. It adds to the finals. Category 3 to 2 went up. No prizes for guessing. Category 2 to 1 go up as well. So team classifications, a whopping 50,000 AD for the win. For the individual classification in our qualifier races today, for 5th place, 2,000 AED. 4th place, 4,000 AED. 3rd place, 6,000 AED. 2nd place, 8,000 AED. And 1st place, 10,000 AED. Yep, 10,000 AED going to the winner. Now, if you are in the UAE, if you've been on holiday, if you visited to ride some of the great climbs, some of the great rides, see the fantastic infrastructure in there, you will know what it's worth. But with Emma's Exchange, we bring you the currency somewhere else. Emma's nearly jumped out of her skin here.
takes me just. Oh, anyway. Shall we do some exchange?
Come on, you just had
10,000
your bloody
AED.
graphic. Come on.
I know. 10,000 AED. Danish krone is where we're going.
Danish krone. So
Bjorn
Denmark.
Andreasen.
Okay.
We are indeed going to Denmark. Danish krone. 18,495 to Bjorn Andreasen should he take the win today in category 1.
So 10,000 AED is
18,495 Danish krone.
So if you're on a Danish krone, that is going to be a substantial sum, over 18,000 Danish krone, 10,000 AED. There are more currencies available. You'll have to tune in next week and every week for the one and only Emma's Exchange. There we go. Right. You are lucky if you are watching this in the English commentary version. Don't forget we have our French colleagues and our Arabic colleagues as well. But there is only one Emma's Exchange. Thank goodness. So do join in. And don't forget, of course, our other exchanges available. It is only a guideline. Prices are correct at the time of Emma Googling it on her phone. Right. Don't give all the trade secrets away, or not.
There are other exchanges available. Well, I'll tell you something, who's exchanging places at the moment, and it may well be Andrew Downey, because he has been caught in the Category 2 race. X100 has done the towing back. He's gone past Downey, and he's towed the pack. Krasnich, Vanhee, Keradine, Graves, all now back towards the front of the race. It's a big pack of Category 2 riders now at the front of the race. And well, it is a who's who of Category 2.
You're at it again, aren't you, with that who's who of Category 2?
I'm on alliteration today.
Indeed. The Matthias of... I'm getting deja vu. Matthias of Vanhee are of the saddle here, really pushing hard to stay with this group. Look at the face of Vanhee at the moment, kicking down on those pedals as he makes his way in. We're going to take the left-hand turn here, currently sitting at 30 kilometres. And in some ways, this is the really hard stretch because you know you've got 3 climbs, a real bumpy section to the finish to come, 2 of which are categorized, and yet you cannot let up and relax here because everybody else is still taking you on in the race.
And it is mentally fatiguing, this part of the course, because it is so flat and you are transitioning from 2 technical bits of racing, and it's a long stretch, and you've got to be really careful you don't switch off mentally.
Yeah, that would be game over because the break will go, the gap will go. It doesn't matter whether you're in categories 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, we did talk about the race route and the course profile, particularly the uncategorized and yet nasty little climb that is the Bête Noire of Cy Bradley and potentially Matt Smithson as well. We will see if that's going to be the case. At the moment, you can see our riders are on the way in there. Well,
they are indeed. And we did mention earlier on, and I was going to talk to you about this, because it did used to be a classified climb.
Okay.
In a previous incarnation of the Tel Marib route. And I can tell you from pulling out the historic data in my vast pack of Sunday Race Club course profiles, it is it's 800 metres in length, with an average gradient of 6.4%. That's why it's nasty.
It is, and that is coming up after this climb that our Category 3 riders are on now. So we have this. This is the Tel Marib climb. We then drop down. We do the climb that Emma's just described to you. Did it have a name at that point in time, Emma? Can you remember?
Oh, I can't remember.
So it is a nasty little kicker. It comes in very quickly. We then go from there into the Telmarib June climb, which is the last of the categorized climbs. But that climb in between, as Emma said, 6.93 average percent, and it is a nasty little kicker of a climb. And I think it's hard, although it's only short and it's relatively okay. It's not a crazy gradient. It's because it comes between the two Telmarib climbs, the Telmarib climb itself and the Telmarib Dune climb. And then after that, you've got no rest really to the finish because it's pretty unrelentless. This is part of the old course that we used to use, a lot of course where I actually have ridden around here with Mr. X100, the rider on our screens here, and he absolutely slayed me on this course a few years ago. This is really tough stuff. He is at the moment with Peter Milostic. Now, that is a very dangerous duo.
It is a dangerous duo indeed, because Milostic is indeed a really strong rider. And this type of course, I think, will really suit him. He often comes to the fore right at the end of a race, and you don't see him until the final section. Then all of a sudden, he's there. A master of staying in the pack and keeping well protected until the end of the race. But today, he's gone clear with X100. So a two-man breakaway. They are now 200 metres up the road from the chasing group. It's James Krasnich on the front drilling it with Matthias Van Hee and Phil Graves. They are leading the group behind. And there's a big stretch on the group because they want to close the gap down now. That coming up to the 32-kilometre marker, they are coming towards the Telmarib climb, and they will want to bring these two back in before they get there.
They will. They won't want to leave it there late, but Mr. X100 and Milostic on the front. I can see them staying clear. They've got the power of the pace. Time will tell. Now, Category 1, steadily making the way up through this race. So they're at 29.8k. They're just about to come into the Telmarib sprint. This is the last of our 3 sprints today. It will decide the destination of the green skin suit. And remember, that's the green skin suit. So that is the shorts and jersey in each of our categories. So although Category 2 have green jerseys, they don't have the green skin suit unless they are our sprint leader. It's not the sprint they're going for here, though, is it, Emma?
No,
this is an attack.
This is a push. This is an attack. This is Osborne and Knudsen down the road, and utilising the fact that they've caught a group of Category 2 racers to create a little bit of confusion going into the sprint as well. Again, you know, riders looking for the effort to come in but not to continue, and these are all great ways of the riders putting in an attack and maybe not having a quick response. So Osborne, Knudsen, in the mix, Andreas and Kaminsky, Safrazadi and Paradians, 2 seconds back at the moment. In fact, Michael Knudsen setting the fastest time through the Telmarib sprint, 15.4 seconds. Hayden Pucker in 2, Cal Power in 3, James Mountier from Category 3 in 4. So you can see the pushes coming from behind in the other categories. In fact, Cadabona from Category 4 in 5th place. Then Jason Osborne back to Category 1, back to Category 4 because it's Gonzalez, back to Category 1, Vuyasin and Kaminsky. And then Category 2, John Brune in the mix as well. So riders from all 4 race categories in the top 10 at that point in the race.
Brilliant to see such competitive racing across all these categories. We're in with our defending world champion in Category 1. And Category 1 almost, to me, it seems to have been a bit of a lot of false dawns, a lot of faux battles at the moment. We're still waiting to see those decisive moves in Category 1. We've seen selections made. We've seen people be distanced. We've seen attritional racing where riders are distanced off the back. But we've seen a few attacks, but they've not really decided the race yet.
Well, they haven't decided the race yet, and there are still big groups out on the road in all of the categories. We're seeing attacks go in, some of them sticking and some of them not. Now, interestingly, in Category 4, at 38.9 kilometres into the race, they are on the Telmarib June sprint, and Buama has put in an attack. He's 15 seconds clear of the chase group behind, but I don't think this is enough. They are pushing behind. Zimmel, Cridland, etc. are all pushing. I don't think he's going to stay clear. In Category 3, look at the stretch on that Category 3 pack. Really, really clear and evident on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. They too are on the pre-climb to the Tel Marib Dunes. You can see that on the graphic on the top right-hand corner. It's SS and Pablo Popovic. They are just 1 second ahead of Lewis Ridley, Arago and Ramirez. That's not going to stick, but an interesting attack.
Yep, they are on the mini Tel Marib. New name for it, the mini Tel Marib. So we've got Tel Marib, the mini Tel Marib, and then the Tel Marib Dune Climb, and it's Tel Marib Dune Climb Category 4 on Category 3 on the mini in between Category 2. Well, guess where they're on? They're on the Tel Marib Climb, so you can see Milostic and Mr. X100 leading that race out the gap back to 29 seconds to Krasnich, to Van Heet, and the chasing group that are pursuing. They're making their way into the base of that climb at the moment. So 2 leaders clear. Just under 30 seconds, the gap back in Category 2. As you can see, the race opening up the distance, opening behind our 2 leaders in Category 2. Category 3 now have descended off the mini Tel Marib. They're heading into the Tel Marib Climb Central. This is the main climb. This starts at 38.7k and runs all the way to 39.7. It's 1 kilometer of pain. It's 1 kilometer of power required. Pablo Popovic at the moment with SS on the front. 2
they're coming back.
The teams are behind, are pushing heavy. So the Aotearoa Alliance, Lewis Ridley in there, Arago, Tidhome, Edwards, Ramirez, all pushing hard here. They are within touching distance. It's a big gap back, though, to Dummer, Kirchner and Co. That's near 8 seconds. So this is a chasing group. Henry East is on absolutely flying form at the moment. This is a man who I think, if it's not this week, by the end of the month, will have been in not only those top 5, but potentially top 3, maybe even taking away the win. His form is coming at just the right time here in October.
Well, the pack is pushing and the bringing in the 2 leaders here. It's looking like we're going to have a group of around 7 riders at the front of this Category 3 race. It's not a big gap back, though. You can see maybe about 6 or 7 seconds at the moment to a large chase group.
So the racing really coming to its culmination as we come in through these climbs. Don't forget, when the riders get to the end of the Tel Marib climb, the third of these 3 climbs, that is at 39.7k. That is when the riders have that last run to the finish. It is not flat. It is bumpy as anything. It's downhill, it's up, it's flat. It's almost a case of the FRB, flat rolling, bumpy. As you go down, you do overall, though, descend down towards the finish. And it means that the advantage is with that breakaway, I think, at the moment. But Krasnich coming back in. He's going to have bridged across to Mr. X100 and Peter Milostic. He makes 3 at the front in Category 2. As Milostic and Mr. X100 are going to be joined by Krasnich here. 6 seconds back to Van Heet. 6 seconds back to Grace, Ospina and Co. Themes in there. They are going to have to chase hard now on this descent. This is going to be a real tough run. The more riders go up to this front group, if we were to get 5 riders up there of the class of these riders, we are going to surely see them go clear. Meanwhile, Category 1, left-hand side of your screen in the yellow, are all at it again. They are on the way in. They are at 34.2k. They are onto the first of these 3 climbs, the Tel Marib climb.
Well, our Category 1 start at the bottom. At the top of the climb, it's 3 riders clearing. Category 2, 9 chasers.
So 9 chasing riders. The gap about 10 seconds from the leaders to the chasing group behind in Category 2. The right-hand side of your screen, those riders at the top there in green, Category 2. So Category 1 in yellow, 2 in green, 3 in blue, and Category 4 in red. Category 4 leaders at the moment at 40.2k. That's Bouamer. The leaders in Category 3 at 39.6k. That is SS at 36k in the leaders in Category 2. That's Milostic along with Krasnich and Mr. X100. And the leaders in Category 1 at 34.5k. It's a big pack, too many to call. Let's take a look at what's coming up for our riders and this final run in, because we've got riders scattered across these 3 climbs. Let's put some pictures to the words rather than words to the action, and let's have a little bit of a look at the end of this course profile. So all of our leaders scattered between that 34-kilometre mark at the start of the Tel Marib climb to the end. 3 key climbs here. 2 of which are categorized, they're shown in red. The uncategorized climb, the mini Tel Marib. Just run us through the stats on that mini Tel Marib, because that's the one that doesn't have the stats shown on the screen, Emma.
Well, it doesn't have the stats shown on the screen. It's 800 metres in length with an average gradient of 6.4%. So it is a real kicker, and particularly because it comes in close succession to the Tel Marib June climb.
And then after the 3 climbs, the 2 red climbs and the 1 in between, we have a bumpy section. And then the very last kicker of the race route, that is not easy either.
Well, it's 1.5 kilometres in length with an average gradient of 1.5%, so it's not that steep.
But because it's at the end of the race,
It's
because it's our
influential.
last climb, because it's the last point, almost that last trigger point before we come down to a sprint, it can be key. And if you power over the top, that descent into the finish is going to be critical. You can see it's a run down and then a flat run into that finish. Taking momentum and speed off that last descent is going to be really, really important.
Well, it is, absolutely. Now, I can tell you the Category 1 leaders have just gone over the Tel Marib climb. They are on the descent, and in fact, Jason Osborne has attacked on the descent because it was 6 riders who went over the top together, and you can now see Osborne with an 8-second gap back to the group. There's then Kel Power. He is the 7th rider on the road in this category, but he's been distanced from the group. So Jason Osborne in 1, Safrazadi, Kaminsky, Andreasen, Vujasin and Paradians are the chase group.
And 3 years ago, we were seeing Jason Osborne attacking and racing in our top category, in Category 1, here on the Sunday Race Club, on this very route, on these climbs. It's something he historically has enjoyed, this section. And there is something about going back to somewhere where you've been good before. It's those positive feelings, isn't it? And Osborne's going to be getting that. 12 seconds, the gap at the moment behind.
Well, the pace has come off the chase group completely.
What they're doing, 2.5, 3 watts per kilo.
I'll tell
you
what
can't
they're
do
doing.
this.
It's only 36.6 kilometres into the race. It's a 45-kilometre race. They've got multiple climbs now. And they know if they put the power down on the climb, they can bring back a gap really quickly. James Krasnich now in Category 2 is pushing on those pedals. He's putting in the distance onto X100, who's trying to stay on his wheels. He's leading the charge here. This is a 3-rider breakaway in Category 2. So 3 riders clear at last count, 9 riders chasing. I think that 9-rider chase group is starting to split. But these 3 riders are 15 seconds clear of the chasers. You can just see them in the distance. In fact, these are the chase group, and they are pushing. But every now and then when they go over a climb, they lose sight of those 3 leaders.
And that's the distance that's been open. The group here on the mini Tel Marib, on that middle climb in between the 2 categorized climbs. Frederic Gombert in France at the moment. You can see his pain cave on the left-hand side. The right-hand side, you can see the avatar, and just tapping out a rhythm there. He's not racing this super hard. I think there's some conservancy here of energy.
Oh, too right. Too right. He's got 7 kilometres to go. He's got climbs to go. They are about to come in to the Tel Marib June climb. It's 1 kilometre in length with an average gradient of 10.06%. It's the steepest climb of the day, and it's the last major climb of the day. And then from the top, they've got a 5.3 kilometre run to the finish line, which, as we've seen, is not flat. I'd be conserving as much energy as possible at this point in time.
And that is because you may well need it for a sprint. Now, Category 4 are at 43.6 kilometres. And as you can see, they're on that climb, but currently at 1.6% gradient. It's a slight riser. And this is where you got to go down. Just watching Kevin Horsey giving us a wave. Good to see Kevin in action once again, one of our regulars on the Sunday Race Club. They are making the way over the top. Burma, Jonathan Gridland, Kevin Horsey, and Gassis Simiel. They are the riders that are well and truly clear, 48 seconds clear of the chasing group behind. So the winner should come from that group. Behind, we have got SS, Lewis Ridley, Tid, Homer, Popovic, and co. These are the leaders in Category 4. They're about to catch the chasing group in leaders in Category, catching the chasers in Category 4.
Correct.
Hallelujah.
So the leading group in Category 3 about to make the back of the group in Category 4. These indeed are the chasers, and there are 3 riders here chasing. Bogran, Rooney and Alalusa are indeed in this chasing group, and the Category 3 riders, 5 riders, while SS, Ridley, Tidholm, Arago and Popovic, the 5 riders in Category 3, now working their way through the group. And it's Jeff Rooney who tries to stay on the back.
Well, it's the right move at the right time, isn't it? You see Bogran's done that. Rooney's trying to push. Alalusa also doing the same. They want to stay on here. If they can stay on over the top here, they're going to be on that run down to the finish. The Category 4 leaders, though, surely have done enough. It's 44.7k underneath the wheels. This is going to come down to a spin. This is about getting your timing right. This is the banner in front, and it's Cridland who kicks first. Cridland has got the power, 15.5 watts. The kilo as he kicks into this. Cridland gets the timing right. He's got the power. He takes the win. It's going to be Zimiel in second, Horsley in third, and Boot and Mur in fourth. What a kick. They waited and waited and waited, and Cridland got the timing right behind. This is for the win in Category 3 and the 5th place in Category 4. Which of our riders in blue are going to get the timing right? It's not very far around the corner here. 500 metres to go in Category 3, and there's a kick gone on the front here. The gap has been opened by Daniel Tidholm. Pablo Popovic has responded at 11 watts per kilo. Tidholm went at 13, but he couldn't hold it here. Tidholm, though, pushing Popovic. He's up there. Ridley now comes on the right-hand side. It's going to be between Ridley and Tidholm. Ridley has the lead. He's got the head of it. It's going to be Ridley who takes a win from Daniel Tidholm, from Bogran, Popovic and Arago. They're going to be your top 5, subject to confirmation, because, of course, all these results are live as these riders come across your screens. They will be confirmed on the MyWhoosh.com website. Go to the menu and hit results, and you'll see the results on the screen.
Well, Category 4 and Category 3 have not disappointed in that run into the finish. What are Category 2 and Category 1 going to do? Well, at 39.7 kilometres, the head of the Category 2 race, it still is our 3 lone leaders, X100, Millerstick, and indeed Krasnich. Those 3 riders clear, but the chase group now coming underneath the Tel Marib Dune, and I can tell you the chasers are moving quicker than the leading 3. So Walter, Vanhey, Ospina, Gombe and Graves, the riders chasing the leading 3. So 5 riders chasing 3. They are moving quicker up the climb. The gap now at 14 seconds. They've got 4.6 kilometres to go. It's going to be close.
It's going to be so tight. It's nothing is a done deal here. This is going to be about everybody giving it as much as they can. You can see the impetus suddenly picking up here as the riders realise that they've still got what is going to be a substantial part of this race distance left. They've still got to push. You cannot afford to relax. You know, this is not a race-winning gap in Category 2 by any stretch of the imagination. They have to keep pushing at the front. The chasers have got the drive. They know that they have got the chance to bring back our race leaders in Category 2. In Category 1, well, Jason Osborne is leading. He's got a 15-second gap from Mikhail Kaminsky. They have just gone over the top of the climb at 39k, so they've just come over the Tel Marib climb. Osborne absolutely flying. He's trying to hold that lead, but has he done enough? At the top of the final climb, the Tel Marib Dune climb.
Well, at the top of the climb, I'm looking at the gap because Kaminsky's just come over the line. Paradians is 3 seconds back. So at the moment, it's Jason Osborne in 1. Mikhail Kaminsky in 2. Paradians has got company with Safra Zaidi in 3. Then it's going to be around 11 seconds back to Vujasin and Andreasen. This course really playing havoc with the Category 1 race. But Mikhail Kaminsky sets the fastest time up the Tel Marib Dune climb, chasing Jason Osborne.
So this final climb, it's the chasers who are setting the faster times than the leaders in Categories 2 and 1. But this is about making it stick all the way into the finish. Remember, This is not a simple, just straight downhill run. We've got that slight rise, and that's where our Category 2 leaders are heading at the moment. It's where our Category 2 chasers will be very shortly. The gap is very, very flexible. It's yo-yoing up and down because these are live timings as you see them. This is based on a calculation of distance and speed. So as the speed increases or decreases, then that time gap will go up or down. And that means it's so hard to judge how clear our riders are. How much gap have they got? Will they be able to hold on? Remember, 45 kilometers is where the race finishes, and that is the most important time to be on the front. When you go over that finishing line, sprints are plenty so far. It has been down to who gets the time in, who gets the push right, who's got the knowledge, and who knows where to finish.
Well, I'll tell you, the leading three, should I say, in this Category 2 race, now pushing. They're on this small rise. Now, we said it wasn't particularly steep. It's currently about 1.8%, but it's enough for them to put the power down. And James Krasnick's really driving on the front now. This is the run for the finish. They're coming up to 2 kilometers to go, and this is the last opportunity to really push and to really get some resistance underneath those pedals. And Krasnick's really now digging deep. Peter Milostic is in 2, X100 in 3. In fact, he's now putting a gap into the group, and X100 has realised that and has just tried to kick. But as instantly, I think X100's legs are going here, and he can't respond to James Krasnick here. Krasnick pushing his gap, the two of them, by 2 seconds. Really fabulous work going on here. They are racing each other for first, second, and third, whilst the group behind are going to be racing for fourth and fifth.
And you cannot hold back here. You've got to commit. If you don't commit, you're going to get swallowed up by the group behind. It's going to come down to a real big bum fight as you go into that finish. Krasnick is not wanting to take the chance. He's done the best thing he probably could in the situation. Attack and push off the front hard. And if they don't go with you, just keep pushing because the chasing group is coming. They can see them behind. If they were to look over their shoulder, you can do that when you're riding on MyWhoosh. You can change your viewpoint. These riders should be focused on keeping clear, pushing on, making the way to the finishing line, and then fighting it out. They can't afford to play tactics here. And all of a sudden, Mr. X100 and Peter Milostic, they've not just pulled back Krasnick. Krasnick is now having to fight to get on. He put in the work to go clear. Now he's being chased. This is getting difficult. This is getting hard. The legs are screaming. The lungs are burning. And yet, the gap is not staying. What is the time gap between them? We're going to take a quick check when we can for you. But the chasing group behind are trying to close it down. Now,
36 seconds.
36 seconds.
Gone out.
That has gone out, but that is due to the differences in speed, pace, and positioning on the race and the actual speed of the riders at the time of the time check. So difficult to tell. I think it's going to come down to that final run through the line to give us those final times. Can Milostic, Krasnick, and Mr. X100 stay clear? Behind, well, the radar view is showing that the gap is gone and that the rest of the riders are riding for the minor places. This could well be a run between these three. Just over 500 meters to go. 3 riders together. So going up on to the front, Mr. X100 with the yellow helmet on there. Krasnick and Milostic are both behind now as Mr. X100 opens it up early. The finishes round the bend here. You can see Milostic with the white and red helmet at the back of this group. As we see Krasnick go over the top. Krasnick opens the throttles, 9.8 watts per kilo, 10.4, 11. He's continuing to push. His power's increased. He's opened up the gap. James Krasnick is going to take the win in Category 2 on qualifier race number 1 on the Sunday Race Club. It's Krasnick followed by Mr. X100 and Peter Milostic. Subject to confirmation, your top 3 in Category 2. Matthias Van Heer has attacked the rest of the group. He's opened up a gap. Van Heer has got a long way to go to the line. They're coming behind him. Their power is ramping up. A spinner at 14 watts per kilo. The gap is still there to Van Heer. Graves has decided it's time to take up the charge. Van Heer leading this out. We're looking to see if anyone's going to close the gap. They're coming with some phenomenal power behind. Can Van Heer hold on? He does. Matthias Van Heer's going to take 4th. Phil Graves takes 5th. Spina 6th. Gomber 7th. And Walter 8th. All subject to confirmation. Let's dive back in with Category 1. 600 metres to go. Jason Osborne clear.
Well, Jason Osborne is clear in category 1. He's 35 seconds clear of the chaser. Chase is being led by Kaminsky with Paradians there as well. And those two riders absolutely pushing on and pushing on hard at the moment. Jason Osborne on the descent into the run to the finish line. It's coming up to the final 200 metres.
Well, this is going to be a cruise to the line. He's going to have time to savour this. Jason Osborne on familiar roads. Welcome back to Telmurray. Welcome back to the top spot on the race. Your winner in category 1 and qualifier 1 on the Sunday Race Club. It's Jason Osborne.
Well, Kaminsky and Paradians playing cat and mouse here for second place on the road. Taking a rest on the final descent. This is going to open up very, very quickly. And who's going to open up first?
Oh, here we go. The kick has gone. It was Kaminsky who jumped first. He was the one to blink. He decided it was time to kick. They were rolling along at next to nothing. They've kicked from 0. It puts big watts per kilo down. And look at this, 15 watts per kilo from Paradians. We're moving at 70 plus kilometers an hour. Paradians is going to go over the top here. He's going to roll Kaminsky. Yes, but Paradians, phenomenal sprint from 0 speed. Right the way in. He takes second place. It's going to be a third place for Kaminsky. It's going to be a fourth place. Great riding by Safasedi to take away a fourth, a fifth place today. Well, that is going to go to Lionel Vujasin, who puts in a final sprint in here. He's going to go clear of Betty. He's going to go clear of Bjorn Andreasen. So Vujasin makes his way in and through the line ahead of Bjorn Andreasen. Andreasen being chased by Cal Power in that category 1 race all the way into the line. What great racing.
Well, if you are watching the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club qualifier race number 1 for October and you are enjoying what you're seeing, just remember, this is a precursor to that World Championship final on the 26th of October, where these riders will be racing for the rainbow jersey.
They will indeed. And each and every Sunday, the Sunday Race Club will be coming to you, including the Sunday afterwards. If any of our riders got any legs left after that, I would be very surprised. I'm expecting to see them all rolling around at 1 watt per kilo. It certainly wasn't the case today. Jason Osborne taking the win after that fantastic attack from Jasper Paradians with that phenomenal sprint. Michael Kaminsky coming in 3rd. And then Said Safasedi in 4th. Lionel Vujasin in 5th. Andreasen in 6th. Power in 7th. Panizza in 8th. Van Els in 9th. And Plantero rounding out the top 10. In terms of category 2, James Krasnich taking the win in 1, Mr. X100 in 2, Peter Molustix in 3, Matthias Van Heet in 4, Phil Graves in 5. Top 5s in category 3 and 4, Emma, do we have them?
Category 3 was indeed Lewis Ridley. He took the win. Daniel Tidholm in 2, Pablo Popovic in 3, Nicholas Arrego in 4, and SS in 5. In category 4, it was Jonathan Cridland who took the win from Zimmer, Horsley, Amma, and Bogren.
So that rounds out your top 5s in each of them. If you want to get the confirmed results, well, you need to jump onto mywhoosh.com into the results. Whilst you're there, don't forget, download the app, jump on board, come and ride on MyWhoosh on one of the many training plans. Emma, you're going to be doing a training plan on Monday, a live training session. You can jump in.
I am.
And then people can see you in real life.
They can indeed join me for a live coaching session. I want to say it is 12:30 lunchtime UK time, so 1:30 Central European time. You can join me then. A nice steady start to a Monday, maybe a little bit of a cadence session as well, just to liven things up a bit.
And don't forget, of course, you can follow Emma. It's at biking_Emma for everything she gets up to in terms of riding and commentating. Don't forget, you can follow me at Matt Fixer Payne. You can join us for the World Gravel Championships. I think that's the next time we're behind the microphone in about 2 hours' time.
Yes.
So do join us for the Mammoth Race. Do make sure, of course, that you subscribe to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. And then if you've done that already, tell somebody else to do it as well. The more of you that watch, the more support we get, the more we can bring you this great, great racing that's provided by our amazing racers on this fantastic platform that is MyWhoosh. A massive thank you to our riders for really laying it on the line today in qualifier race number 1. A big thank you to you for watching. A massive thank you to the team behind the scenes, particularly whichever genius put together the graphic for Emma's exchange. A big thank you
Thank
to
you.
Emma for being back on the mic and sharing commentary duties with me here today. But from me, Matt Payne, from Emma Martin and all the team, stay safe. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.